Today is a day of a tale of tales that the world know very well. But to them that the story is told about forever remains a tale. But on this joyous day of days, what was lost have now been found. Them who helped to uncover the truth will live in the world renowned. Return of the King, return of the King, make way, make way, make way. Return of the King, return of the King, forever where he may reign. Time waits for no one, 'cause everyone's subject to time. From tales of God to tales of men, therein your answer will lie. Return to the King, return to the King, make way, make way, make way. Return to the King, return to the King, forever where he may reign. Greetings, 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 greetings. It is I, your king, King Clifford Jefferson, descendant of Godfrey, the fifth Caliban Joe, son of folk, ruler of Jerusalem, the reincarnation of King Edgar the Peaceful, which we call Jesus Christ. Beside me is always my queen, Sister Godwin from the House of Godwin, as well as all those from the council, as well as members, as well as all those who are here today. We greet you in the love, truth, peace, freedom, as well as in justice. We greet you in the name of our ancestors and our forefathers. Once again, we're back again from a long rest. We wish you well with all things. Once again, we want to give honor to our ancestors because they're the one who paved the way for us and live our illustrious history that goes back to time immemorial. I'll allow everybody to say a couple of words, just say good morning, and then we can get on with this marvelous lesson. I digress. Queen?
Peace, everyone. Just want to say, hope everyone had a blessed week. I want to give honors to our king and all the members here in attendance today on the King's Bench. Just want to say we have to start holding these higher up officials legally to their standards or what their standards should be, especially in today's times where everything is in a disarray with mayhem and, you know, all the crimes that's going on in the world today, children running around parentless, hungry, families disoriented. And these people that they put in place to run our communities, they don't have the intention that they should have. When I say that, I mean like these higher officials, some of them are doing like malicious things just to, you know, obtain their political stance on things. It's just a political game. Mm-hmm. So until we actually get on board as a church and hold these officials, like I said, to the higher standards that they should be, we're not going to obtain the real mission that we're looking for today. And with that, I digress.
Well said, Queen.
Well said,
well said. Archbishop, good morning.
Greetings, King. Greetings, Queen, as well as everyone from the Kingdom of England, Empire of Albion. Today is September 25th, 2972, which is our Berber calendar, which is equivalent to your 2022 Gregorian calendar. Like we say here at the Third Temple English Church of England, it's always a good day to be here amongst brothers and sisters, like-minded kin folks, you know, those who haven't had the opportunity to, you know, make their way to this path, you know, eventually you will stumble amongst our voice and you'll start picking up where you left off at or where we left off at for you to make your way coming into the church. Like the Queen said earlier in the introduction, you know, a lot of the people today are lost, you know, and they're going to cling on to whatever form of truth that they have some type of comfort in. But one thing we know today is, comfort is what's causing us to be in our demise. Just accepting things because, it sounds good is not always what you need to hear. A lot of the stuff that we're showing and we're presenting here on the King's Bench, it don't always sound good, it's because of the people who have been in the positions of so-called power who've been utilizing our information, our not only our laws, but our customs and traditions. Anything they've been tied back to us, they've been utilizing it maliciously, and was keeping our brothers and sisters from wanting to pick up the truth and the evidence that our ancestors had left for us to be able to find our way back home. Once again, like the Queen said, and it's going to be required for you to come into the church for it all to be able to be done like a family, because we didn't fall as an individual, we failed as a nation, as a kingdom. When 1707, when the Acts of Union took place, that's when they pretty much removed us from having any type of political say within the international world, because we had been put into a position where we no longer had a voice. Now our DEJURE King of England has returned for us to be able to correct those wrongs. And it's up to you, those who allegiance is tied back to the king, going back to time immemorial. It's your obligation to come home and do your due diligence, because we have many who have been called, but few are chosen. And those who have been shown their allegiance have been doing so in their acts as well as deeds. So we know who's who when that time comes. But in the meantime, we're just going to continue to keep giving out this message, because we are still at a state of emergency, which, we need any and all those who understand and hear our cries to come to help assist us the best way they know how, which is helping us through the church. And with that being said, I digress, and I leave the rest of the introduction to the rest of the brothers and sisters.
Well said, Archbishop. Our brother Burgess from the House of Burgess. Good morning, Noble.
Greetings, King. Greetings, Queen. Everybody on the panel. Everybody that's listening. How y'all doing today?
All right.
We missed y'all last week, but I enjoy coming together with this communion and understanding the King's conscience. So this past couple of weeks, I've been going back to our articles and just making sure that I understand what it is that I'm actually saying, what I'm agreeing to, and what it is that I'm supposed to be doing as a trustee. And it's been a lot been coming clear for me in that regards. So I recommend it to everybody who's been following, everybody who's been standing with us, to take the time out and get reintroduced with the dictionary, the fourth edition. I digress.
Well said, Brother Burgess from his noble house. Greetings, Sister Middleton from the House of Middleton. How you doing this morning, Countess?
Greetings, King and Queen. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. It is true. It is a real state of, in terms of a real state of emergency. A lot of people are very in dire straits. This drug scene is really overwhelming, and it's taking a lot of our young people. And the other issue is just the overwhelm of just keeping your head above water. And so with that, I appreciate Third Temple Church of England, who is providing remedy for these times. And I am ready and willing, able to assist, and I digress.
Thank you, Sister Middleton. We appreciate your awareness, as well as your condolences, as well as your wish to continue to assist us in this great missionary work that we have to do. So thank you.
Well said, Mother Middleton.
Greetings, Countess Allen. How you doing today?
Greetings, King. Greetings, everyone on the panel.
All right. Glad you were able to join us today.
Did you say how my day is going today?
Yeah, we said we're glad that you were able to join us today.
Oh, yes. Apologies, I wasn't aware that class was starting early. So
I wasn't sure. We asked our bishop.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was 12 or 12:30, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just happy everyone's starting to show up. So
Okay. It
Well,
is an honor to
you
be
know how we
here.
do. One thing for sure, we're gonna have class. All right. So well said. We give you a couple of minutes to say a couple of words. Good morning to the rest of the family, as well as those online viewing for their first time.
Greetings. Greetings. It's an honor to be back. Wonderful to see everyone. Always a pleasure. You know, I was watching a video with 365, Black Magic 365, which is Brother Rich. You know, he helped, you know, Sister Middleton is familiar, she's been on the show. But they had Kirameu on. I don't know if anyone is familiar with him, but he's been putting out a lot of videos, you know, exposing, you know, the lies of colonization and who was actually who coming over here, and just breaking down a lot of the laws that were enacted at that time. And you know, he's from Costa Rica.
Okay.
And you know, we in our community, we often look to other people to tell our story. You know, it's very hard for us to look at one another and believe the truth of what's being told. Like the movie that just came out with what's it called? The Lady Queen, the Lady King, the Lady King in Africa, about the Amazon.
Woman King.
Woman King. Now that was written and directed by 2 Caucasian females, you know, and Lupita was supposed to be the actor, the original actress that was in there, but she passed on it. So as a result, it fell to, what's the lady's name?
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis.
Fell to Viola, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but it's interesting to know that, you know, there was 2 Caucasian women that end up telling our story, and you know, we accepted. So Karameu was on Black Magic 365, and I had been following him for a long time. He's very interesting, and he's very knowledgeable about the things that we're already trying to get out to the world. So the fact that he actually showed up on there, you know, and was given that message, you know, I was grateful to see that, you know, because that platform is so big, you know, and what better way to get the message out, you know? So, you know, I was invigorated by that, you know. So I just wanted to say that, you know, since Queen Elizabeth had passed, a lot of people are asking questions, you know, so a lot of people want to know the truth. They're hungry for the truth. And it's a great feeling to have this platform, to know that we're here, you know. So I made a couple of comments on there, and I directed them toward the Third Temple English Church and the King, you know, and, you know, I welcome people, you know, to join, you know, and to come and to listen and to find out exactly the missing pieces that, you know, that we're trying to put together. So it was wonderful, you know, these past couple of days, you know. So aside from, you know, me, of course, doing my paper, which is coming, I just want you all to know that, you know.
Okay.
So
We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. I digress.
Well said. Well said. Brother Scott from the House of Scott. Greetings, Noble One.
Greetings, King.
Yeah, we heard you got some good news for us, huh?
Just a little bit, King. Yeah, like I told you, I have great mentorship. So I did everything I could to stop laughing in the judge's face. I couldn't hold it back. It was hilarious. He literally ran away from the articles. For those of you that don't know, I had received a suspended driver's license that was issued by the child support system here in Georgia. So I had to go back to court a couple of times and deal with the magistrate there, but Brother Burgess and King assisted me with drafting my response to the lawsuit that was given from the police officer. So once they got it, King, I showed up for court. I got there at 8 o'clock. I don't think I had a chance to speak until 12. They cleared the whole courtroom before they allowed me to speak. So once I started to speak, he asked if I had anything else to prove that I am who I say I am. And of course, he got the ID. after that, he reached for our articles, and I told him, I was like, hey, that alleged debt was already paid. So, and I have proof of that, which was paid through the Treasury Department. He asked for it, I gave it to him, and he grabbed the articles again and put them in front of him. And I was like, as soon as you look at those documents, we can get into that as well if you're ready. And he was like, Mr. Scott, you are free to go. Yep, the whole thing. Never brought it up, never wanted to hear it. They made me go last. So that's how I knew that the king gave me some powerful stuff. So it was greatly appreciated. So you guys,
everybody give Brother Scott a hand of applause.
Thank you.
Great job, great job, great job. It might not always end up that way, but hey, you stand on your square, this is what happens. You know, and like I said, you know, there's never been a losing battle for us here at the English Stereotypical Church because it's all school. You win some, you lose some. You know, but it's a fight. You know, it's a battle. You just lost the fight. You know what I'm saying? But you win one, you lose one, you go back and fight again. We ain't trying to lose. We ain't trying to lose any fights. But sometimes it happens.
That's
you know?
Actually,
1 second.
had this phrase.
Yeah, and what phrase
according to Brother Scott's. I was looking up a phrase, Brother Scott, before you just did your dissertation on malicious abuse of legal process, which is exactly, you know, what they try to do with you, trying to railroad you.
Yeah, which is the case with each and every one of us. This is the reason why this class is very important. Everybody had a chance to speak? Brother Greg, greetings, noble one.
Greetings, King. Greetings, Queen.
What you having today, morning, brother?
Brother Greg.
It's good to be here. I'm at work today. That's why my screen is blacked out.
We understand, noble.
But
all right, just
I'm
sit back
here
and
to
hear the
learn.
good word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I digress.
Okay, thank you, noble. So once again, greetings to everybody, as well as all those who are here at the English Stereotypical Church. I am your king, Clifford Jefferson, descendant of Godfrey, the fifth count of Van Joe, Jew, son of Folk, ruler of Jerusalem, descendants of King Edward the Peaceful. All these were the great kings of Wessex, going back to time immemorial. Once again, I'm here just to let you know and give you an update how things are going on the court cases. I previously had court on Friday. This Friday just coming, and actually that Friday was the day, September 23rd, 1158 was the day when Duke of Brittany was born. Duke of Brittany, he was the son of Eleanor Aquitaine and King Henry II. And this is what we have, what we call the breaking magnetic succession. But before we get into that, I just want to give you our update on how I did in the actual court in regards to what was brought before the court, which was a motion for summary judgment for the basis of no material fact in the record which was in question, as well as opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss my complaint. I thought I did a wonderful job. I think I spoke with so much power, but of course, you know, they have their own agenda, and as a result, we had a proposed order that was not in my favor. But that's, as we just spoke of, is a violation of due process of law. So I'm just going to give you our brief for my argument so that you can see that when you're dealing with courts of law, it's based off the law of evidence. And the federal rule is Rule 201, Rule 301, and Rule 302. And the state courts, which is the state of New Jersey, is Rule 201, 301, and 302. These are called the rules governing evidence. They're governed by what we call the laws of presumption. And we know presumption is a assumption of something is particularly true. And it's based off facts. All right, it's based off facts. So I'm just going to give you a brief of what I spoke about at the motion hearing. And I'm going to show you that I never really actually lost the case. It was just an unlawful ruling as a result of violation of due process of law, because everyone has a right to a trial by jury. We have what we call evidentary facts, and we got what you call facts at law. Evidentary facts are heard by juries if there's any facts in question. Law, in fact, is heard by a judge in regards to what type of law is to be applied in a particular proceeding. Everybody understand? Okay.
Follow.
Follow.
Good to hear. Can everybody see this?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's up now. I can see it.
Everybody else can see it. I wish everybody was here so they can see this. I'm only going to show this once. This is my argument in regards to mandatory judicial notice to my arguments in regards to evidentiary facts and facts at law. They're governed by New Jersey Rules of Evidence and Section D, which means that it's mandatory that the court take judicial notice in law and fact. Because you got two types of pleadings. You got a notice pleading and you got a fact pleading. New Jersey is a fact pleading court. We know that because we're looking at the rules that govern evidentiary fact and facts at law. This is the rule. So I'm just going to briefly do my argument. As you can see, the matter before the court in regards to my motion for one of summary judgment because there was no material fact in question, as well as my opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss my complaint for bringing forth on the record nothing more than a presumption of innocence. Because a presumption of innocence is a presumed fact. It's not a basic fact, because basic facts, you need evidence. And what is evidence? Evidence is the actual events that something actually happened or occurred, or is the statements presented as the objective truth. So if you're a plaintiff or a defendant and you're bringing the claim or rebutting the claim, it must be based off facts, evidentiary facts and facts at law. If there's any evidentiary facts in question, that must be left for a jury. If there's facts at law in question, then that's left for a judge. Okay, but in this case, there was no evidentiary fact or fact in law in question, which was a motion to compel for one of several summary judges. So as we can see here, everybody see it?
Yes.
I'm just going to brief through this. Archbishop, how much time I got to work with?
It was 2 hours.
Okay, good. I'm just going to read the other line, underline. The matter before the court involved a motion to compel for one of summary judgment filed by the plaintiff, as well as opposition to defendant's motion to dismiss the plaintiff's complaint. Questions of law and questions of fact. This is everything I argued at the motion hearing. I don't even think the stuff was being recorded because I understand the difference between a notice pleading and a fact pleading, because New Jersey is a fact pleading court because of the rules of evidence. Rule 201, 301, and Rule 302. Okay, let me brief through this. Notice pleading allows one to state his or her claim generally without needing to assert detailed facts to support one cause of action. That's called a notice pleading or a presumed fact in the court of law. It's not a basic fact because there's no facts being presented as evidence. Evidence means proof. Proof means evidence. In order to have proof or evidence, you need facts. What does facts mean? Fact means reality of events or thing that actually occurrence or existence of which is determined by evidence. People versus people. That's an evidentiary fact and fact at law. So what does this mean? And somebody in the invocation of a presumption at law, the burden automatically shifts to the other party. An evidentiary fact. Just like that there was a question in fact in law. If somebody's questioning the constitutional statute versus your interpretation of the statute, then the burdens of proof shifts to the other party. And if it's your interpretation that's constitutionally established versus somebody else opposition that's not constitutional, this is the obligation of the judge or the court to uphold the statute. Everybody understands that?
Follow.
Follow.
Any questions? Any questions?
No.
Okay, so we know that a fact means in reality some event that actually happened. We know in law, since that's the only thing that the judge can happen, we know that the law we're using actually happened because they had to sit down and make these laws. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fact in law. We ain't even got to the evidence yet because that must be left for a jury because you have a right under the common law to a trial by jury. It says if the defendant feels if it had a strong defense, it needs to submit any evidence to support its motion to dismiss. The reason for the defendant's motion for dismissal sets forth no facts at law to warrant a dismissal of the plaintiff's complaint. A motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim first must be entirely based upon the complaint and any documents referenced in the complaint. The defendant may not rely upon any other document or certification or unpublished opinion pursuant to the rule governing your particular territory. They can't depend on anything other than what you brought forth in your complaint or any document or certification referenced in that complaint for a motion to dismiss. And in order for him to have the matter dismissed, he must assess or allege fact. Everybody understand?
Follow.
But in the defendant's defense is entirely is nothing more than a notice of opinion or presumption of innocence, but at the same time, transferring property of allodial title lands with the filing of a transfer of property deed. One example of that is a color tax deed, Payne versus AM Fruit Company. When you see a tax deed is what you go file at the county. When you file it, and I'm going to show you an example of it. All right, let's go a little further. In law of evidence, a presumption of particular facts can be made without the aid of proof. The invocation of a presumption shifts the burden of proof from one party to the opposing party in a court of trial. Van Wert versus Cook of Oklahoma. All right, let's move down a little further. There was also other presumptions called into question since presumptions govern under the laws of evidence. What other presumption? The law of what we call fraud and undue influence. What is that? Undue influence and fraud arises when a person in a position of a trust over another, such as a guardian or a holder of a power of attorney, applies to other person's assets to his or her own benefit, in way a state of competence. Everybody understand? So that's one presumption at law that comes into question in regards to the complaint. Another one is a fact of law, the presumption of constitutionality, which presumes that all statutes are drafted in accordance with the federal and state constitutional requirements. The party challenging the constitutionality of a statute bears the burden of proof, and any doubt or resolve against that party. If there are two reasonable interpretations of a statute, one of which is constitutional and the other not, the court must therefore choose the path that permits upholding the statute. Bowen versus Town of St. John. Everybody see that?
Follow.
All right, and why? Because it's governed under what? The rules of evidence. Rule 201, Rule 301, effects of presumption, and Rule 302. Choice of law in a civil proceeding, federal law, or the law of another jurisdiction governs the effects of presumption regarding a claim or a defense. So if there's a claim or a defense in regards to a complaint, rebuttal, or you're the complaining party, is based off the effects of presumption. And it says the presumption discharges the burden of producing evidence as to the fact, presumed fact, such as a presumed innocent till proven guilty, when another fact, the basic fact, has been established. So when somebody's saying they're innocent until proven guilty, when you bring evidence, i.e. fact, i.e. proof, that means that the burden shifts now to the other party. Everybody understand?
Follow.
So my motion to compel for one of summary judgment was based off the evidence and fact and law in fact. And the court just disregarded everything. I'm gonna tell you why he did this, because he didn't want to deal with this issue. He said, if I'm gonna give somebody a win, you better go to another court and do it, because I'm not gonna deal with this. It's like the movie Amistad. What judge want to be sitting in the seat when this stuff comes down? So they don't want to deal with it. This automatically falls under what we call presumption of law. I mean, what we call discrimination based off due process of law. Because you didn't give me due process of law pertaining to the laws of evidence, which I quoted in that courtroom. That therefore, there's no reason to appeal this decision because you just discriminated against me with due process of law. When you did that, now there's grounds to have it removed to the district court because of discrimination. All right, let me go in a second. How much time did that take me? 5, 10 minutes?
That was almost about 5. Almost 5.
Okay, good. Let me keep going. All right. The defendant's attorney, Bruce Whitaker, the undersigned, is not aware of the merit or propriety of any such filing of conclusive presumption in the state of New Jersey. This is what he stated in his opposition, his answer, and reply. He don't know anything about conclusive presumption or rebuttal for presumption, but yet there's a New Jersey rule governing it. I brought this to the judge's attention. I even asked the judge, are you aware of the New Jersey rules of evidence? He said he's aware of the New Jersey rules of evidence, but did not apply them. That's a violation of due process of law. He wanted the defendant wanted the motion to be dismissed based off a notice of presumption of innocence without no fact in evidentiary proof or no fact in law. Not one did he quote. And Bell Atlantic Court versus Trinity Hotel Lab, Incorporation versus my court, issued in Rice Ltd. It states that the court has retired that 50-year-old rule of Coney versus Gibson, which states that on which a complaint could not be dismissed unless there was no set of fact upon which belief could be granted. So in that room, Coney versus Gibson, that was a rule that stated that if a complaint alleges no facts, then it can be dismissed. That rule was retired. Because why? Everybody has the right to a trial by a jury when it falls under arguments that falls under the common law. How do we know that? Dimick versus Sheep. The right or a trial by a jury is of ancient origin, characterized by William Blackstone as the glory of English law and the most transcendent privilege which any subject can enjoy. It didn't say citizen, it said subject. William Blackstone is the author on English law. Everybody know that. William Blackstone commentaries. Peyton versus United States. The controlling distinction between the power of the court and that of the jury is that the former is the power to determine the law and the latter to determine the facts. So if there's question in fact that law, that must go to a jury. If there's any questions in law and fact, that must be decided by the court. He didn't want to deal with that because I questioned him on law. And he didn't say, I said, do you, I said, according to the Jersey by statute 46:6-46:3-2, it says the King of England, a person or body of politics. I say, if this is not England, why does it say that? You know what he said? I can't answer that. He's just straight. I can't answer that. But it's right there in the statute. He let me know, look, I know it's there, but I'm not going to open my mouth because I don't want to even deal with that. So he let me know, yeah, Mr. Jefferson, King Jefferson, what you're saying is right, but you got to go to appellate court or have this matter removed. Because I knew what he was going to do. He's going to either deny me that and move it to somebody else. I'm not going to even do that for the chilling effect. Because of this argument, our religious society or body of politics is subject to a chilling effect because we're trying to enforce our rights as a religious society, which is automatically falls on the grounds of discrimination under the color of law. Because I'm stating the law. Not only the law, presidents, right? Right to trial by jury, state of New Jersey versus Honda Court. The New Jersey courts have interpreted the constitutional provision as preserving the right to a jury trial to the extent that such a right existed prior to the 1776 when our Constitution was first adopted, State versus Anderson, citing Montclair versus Stanovich. So that means that under the Constitution, Article 22, it says that there should be the common law and a trial by a jury preserved. Under that New Jersey Constitution, the first Constitution of New Jersey. It also says that what this means is that the new offenses created by a statute entitles a party to a constitutional right of trial by a jury, only if it belongs to a class of cases triable by a jury at common law. All right. Our Constitution have merely preserved the right of trial by jury. They have not extended it. Quoting Board of Health of Weehawken Township versus New York, it said, although we recognize that there have been other versions of our Constitution since 1776, the grant or denial of a jury trial is not affected by the application of one version or another. Everybody hear that? These are all the issues I raised at that motion hearing. And the motion hearing is a violation of law because everybody had a right to a trial by jury. I wasn't even worried about what he was doing because when you appeal it, you're not appealing the arguments made by the parties, you're appealing the judge's order. By the way, let me just show you what the judge's order says. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
This is a proposed order drawn up by counsel, not from the judge. Now the judge is talking all on the record, talking about shut up, Mr. Alvey. I'm giving my order. He didn't say shut up. I'm just giving an example. The judge is giving this order. Why he's giving this order is all supposed to be recorded in that order. It's not only a verbal order, but it's an order of record. So when you go for a deposition, everything he said in that recorded order should be on this document. Am I right?
Father.
Now look what this ain't even from the court. This is from the attorney, counsel. A proposed order. This is not what the judge said. This is what the counsel said. This matter had been opposed, been open to the court by Bruce Whitaker. Matter of fact, this is the one who signed the deed. He signed the color of title deed, which if it's given by a county, it's color of title, which I'm about to show you in case law. It says that having been opened by the court, Bruce Whitaker, Esquire, of McDonald versus Whitaker, LLC, two corporations, attorney for defendant LP, LLC, and Croker Mansion Home, LLC, defendant. Upon defendant's motion to dismiss, plaintiff complaint is in its entirety pursuant to a rule. The defendant quoted no law, no precedents, no statute, nothing at all. He got a rule right here, which clearly says that if a complaint is frivolous, in order to prove it's frivolous, you must base it off fact and evidentiary proof, as well as fact and law. I don't see anything in evidentiary fact or law and fact in this proposed motion. Do y'all?
No.
It just got a rule, and it's appearing in good and sufficient notice of motion having been provided to the plaintiff, and the court having considered the matter, and for good cause appearing September 23rd, ordered that the motion should be and hereby is granted, and is further ordered that plaintiff's complaint should be and hereby is dismissed with prejudice as against defendant as its entirety, and is further ordered plaintiff's motion for summary judgment is denied with prejudice. That's color of law. Now, when most people get a complaint like that and get that, oh man, they dismissed my complaint, I lost, we get all bent out of shape. But you have to know law. You have to know what's going on. They're not going to give it to you in the first win, especially something of this magnitude. They're not going to give it to you. You better go somewhere else with that, Mr. King L. Bay. Guess what happened? Let's go there. How much time was that has passed?
12 minutes.
Yeah, about 12 minutes.
Okay, good. Now, we know all about the corporation sold. And Paul versus Virginia, this is case law of legal standing of the plaintiff. Paul versus Virginia makes this distinction between the corporation and a natural person in regards to rights saved under privileges and immunities under Section 1983 of the United States Code. United States versus Juan Kim Ark is a case that deals with citizenship, and it tells you the distinction between just sole and just sanguineous. That was already initiated in the case. United States versus Roe makes a distinction between a citizen of the United States and a subject of the United Kingdom or the King of England. DEJURE SA versus Pathum Common Court makes a distinction between diversity of jurisdiction between citizenship. Martin versus Leslie Waddell deal with the public trust. All this was brought forth and argued in my complaint and evidentiary fact. Based off what rule? Rule 301. 201, look what it says. On the laws of evidence. Mandatory judicial notice of adjudication of facts. A. Notice of law. Law which may be judicially noticed includes decisional, constitutional, and public statutory law, rules of the court, private legislative act, and resolutions of the United States, this state and every other state, territory and jurisdiction of the United States, as well as ordinances, regulations, and determination of all governmental subdivisions and agencies thereof.
Oh, you got to share it, King.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh, I was talking. I thought I was sharing.
The whole time?
Everybody see that?
Yes.
New Jersey Rules of Evidence, Article 2, Section 201D. The court can take it on its own initiative, or it can take it upon a request of a party, as long as they got all the information in regards to what you're requesting the court. Take mandatory judicial notice. This is in federal law as well as in state law. So before I even open my mouth, I'm asking questions. Judge, you ever heard of New Jersey Rules of Evidence? Do you follow New Jersey Rules of Evidence? He murmuring. I can't hear you, Judge. Yeah, I know about the rules. Do you follow them? Yeah, I follow them. Okay, good. We can get going. That's how I'm questioning them. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to make sure he follows suit. So I said, well, since you follow him and you recognize them, this is what it said. On the Section D, mandatory judicial notice of law and adjudication of facts. Section A, notice of law. Law which may be judicially noticed includes the decisional, constitutional, and public statutory law, rules of the court and private legislative acts, resolutions of the United States, this state and every other state, territory and jurisdiction of the United States, as well as ordinances, regulations, and determination of all governmental subdivisions and agencies thereof. Why? Because they govern what? The laws of presumption. It also says judicial notice may also be taken of law of foreign countries. Section B of that mandatory judicial notice. Notice of fact. The court may take judicial notice of fact when it's mandatory requested. New Jersey Rules of Evidence, as well as Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 301. Rule 201. New Jersey Rules of Evidence. Article 3, presumption. Effects of presumption, except as otherwise provided in Rule 303 or by other law, a presumption discharges the burden of producing evidence as to a fact, i.e. presumed fact, when another fact, basic fact, has been established. If evidence is introduced tending to disprove the presumed fact, the issue should be submitted to a trial of fact, i.e. a jury. They didn't give me a jury. That's a violation of law for determination unless the evidence is so much that the reasonable person would not differ to the existence of a non-existence of presumed fact. So that means that if you got a material fact on the record and the only thing that the other party is saying, I'm innocent, I didn't do nothing, and haven't presented anything other than presented any evidence to prove anything other than he presumed innocent, then guess what? The judge can now turn that motion into a motion for summary judgment, because there is no material fact in evidence in dispute or in law, in fact, in dispute. How do we know that? Let's go here. I'm going to keep all this under 20. Two types of presumption, rebuttal and conclusive. Rebuttal and conclusive. A rebuttal presumption is assumed to until a person proves otherwise. For an example, a presumption of innocence. A conclusive or irrebuttable presumption cannot be refuted in any case. Now I hit the court. An example of presumption without basic fact is a presumption of innocence, as in the case of the defendant's answer and reply. Because they're saying they're innocent, Your Honor, but I ain't got one fact, nor one evident law, fact in law to support it. I just showed y'all the order, proposed order. The defendant wants the case to be dismissed based off him just presuming that my case lacks basic facts and facts at law. They all right here up there, Angela.
Mm-hmm.
They're all right here. Let's get to them. We already read about the town Paulette. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's go into the facts. Basic law, basic legal definition about terms. Because when they think they own property, they think they're talking about that the property or the real estate that sits on it that they say is property. Because property only means ownership. How we know that? Black Law Dictionary states that property that which is peculiar or proper to any person that which belongs exclusively to one. Because if 4 or 5 people got a hand in property, then that means you don't really own it, do you?
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 or 5 people claim to have an interest in property. That's a legal interest, but it's not an equitable interest. Why? Because in the strict legal sense, an aggregate or right which are guaranteed and protected by government, both in light, heat, and power company versus state. So that means property that which is peculiar or exclusive to one person. Did you hear anything about land in that description of the definition of property?
No.
Property only means ownership. Ownership means property. Now, what do you own? Because what you call property is real estate. That's land, buildings, and fixtures. What is land? In the most sense, comprehend any glebe, ground, soil, or earth whatsoever, including fields, meadows, pastures, woods, moors, waters, marshes, and rocks, buildings, condominiums, all those considered part of what we call real estate. How we know that? Let's define allodia. What is a land type? One cognizable or enforceable in a court of law, or one which is complete and perfect so far as regards to apparent right of ownership and possession. There is either case, it's an equitable title. If it's not equitable title, then it's a legal title, and the legal title is called a presumptive title. Everybody understand that? Wait, give me some more.
Follow.
Everybody follow?
Follow.
I hope y'all following online because I'm only doing this one time. So we just define property, which means ownership. We also define land. Property don't mean land, and land don't mean property. They all got their distinct definition. So if you talk about property, you're only talking about ownership, and ownership of what? You got to say in that deed what you own is land, a building, or a fixture. You got to say within it, because if you don't, that means the deed becomes ambiguous.
Exactly.
Because it don't say land. All right. So what is a title? One cognizable, enforceable in the court of law, or one which is complete and perfect so far as regards as the apparent right of ownership or the apparent right of property, because property means ownership. So when you're saying ownership, you're saying property. When you're saying property, you're saying ownership. When you're saying ownership and property, you're not saying land. Everybody understand? All right.
Understand.
But it's allodial land or allodia. Allodium or allodium is land held absolutely in one's own right, meaning exclusively to one person, and is not of any lower or superior. Land not subject to feudal duties or burdens, and the state held by absolute ownership without recognizing any superior to whom any duty is due on account thereof. So that means that in order for you to be own land clear, that means there must be a allodium. Because anything other than that is being simple. Because allodium said land is not feudal. If it's feudal, then it falls under this presumptive title. How we know that? That's what it says. Read that for me, Sister Countess out.
Okay.
Presumptive title. Read that for me.
Presumptive title is a right over a property arising out of mere occupation or possession without any apparent right. A person having a presumptive right can hold property until the possession is obstructed. Actual possession has a claim of ownership, and fee establishes a presumptive title as against everyone, but not against the person whose title is better.
Okay, so what only titles can be better besides fee? That's a
Allodium.
question to you. What other title is superior than presumptive title?
Allodial.
Yes, allodial. So if it's not allodial, then it's a presumptive title.
Mhm.
And a presumptive title can be adverse possession can be done if there's a superior title, and the superior title means allodial, right?
Right.
Okay, so everybody who claims to own property, you better ask yourself if it's allodial.
Exactly.
You better be asking yourself, do you really own it? Because if you don't have an allodial, it's a presumptive title. And what is presumptive title? Let's define that. Read that, Countess.
A grantee who enters into actual and hostile possession of land under the color of a tax deed acquires a new presumptive title to every interest in the land. When she continues such possession for a period of 10 years and pays all taxes assessed and levied upon the single entire estate in the land, she acquires a title valid in law to such interest. The county's tax deed therefore give a title or color of title to the whole estate in the land, including the royalty interest. In considering the extent of adverse possession under such a title or presumptive title, it is erroneous to consider the possession as being that of the surface estate or of the mineral estate or of both of such estates.
Payne versus
Payne
A.M. Fruit
versus-
Company. So that's letting you know that if you got a presumptive title, you're not talking about the public trust. Because a public trust is allodial, because that's a land, building, and its fixtures as well as the natural resources. Everybody understand?
Follow.
So that means right here, everything that the defendants got on the record is a deed of reality tax fees. When you look at anything filed in the record in lieu of ownership of property, it's called a transfer deed of ownership. It's a colorable tax deed of ownership or a colorable tax deed of property. Because property and ownership means the same thing. So if you got a presumptive title, it's a color title, and you know it's color because it's on allodial land. And if it's allodial land, then there must be a king. So let's get to the problem. All right. I'll leave this alone. Now, this is everything I argue in this complaint. Well, let's get here. This is William Blackstone. So William Blackstone, Commentaries of the Laws of England, first published in 1765 to 1769. It's one of the most frequently cited books in the history of the common law. In America, from the 18th century debate over ratification of the United States Constitution to the 21st century, United States Supreme Court decision Blackstone has been repeatedly recognized as the authoritative source for English law. The District of Columbia versus Heller describes Blackstone's commentary as the permanent authority of English law for the founding generation, quoting Alden versus Maine. So when you have a case heard in the trial court, you think a trial court want to hear this?
No.
No, they gonna want you to appeal it because they don't appeal the complaint on the party. They appeal the order that the judge made, and the judge ain't worried about it because he know the order was invalid. He just said, "I'm not dealing with that." You let somebody else deal with that. Why? Because they got more liability. Does that make sense to everybody?
Follow.
We're not losing. We're fighting a good fight, and we're gonna come out winning, victorious in the end. How do I know that? Look what William Blackstone said about my legal standing and about United States or America. He states, and I quote, "We find the distinction of parishes." Now you remember in the case, City of Paulette, Town of Paulette, they were arguing over glebe or soil for a Church of England, right? Let's go back to the case. I'm telling you, y'all, boy, your king is a good king. I'll leave it for y'all night and day.
Definitely some learning lessons. King, I wanted to ask you, you were fighting this in Court of Chancery, right?
Yes.
So where do you go from here?
Oh, I can either appeal it, but I'm not appealing it. Let me show you what I'm doing before I get started. Being that I already got a matter that I had an appeal, and the appellate court was biased. So I had that transferred to the Supreme Court for petition certification. That's in the Supreme Court already, right? Now, I had another matter transfer from a parking ticket from Trenton. They didn't want to dismiss it, and that's a violation under color of law. So I had that matter transferred to the district court for violation of due process of law. Because you can only dismiss something from the district court over 75,000 and more. So I gave her the chance to dismiss it. She didn't want to dismiss it. So now I moved it to the district court to show that they're practicing discriminating under color law, which they're being heard. So I got one in the Supreme Court dealing with battling biostatistics in the state biostatistics for enslaving us, which is being heard by the Supreme Court. I've also got one removed by way of notice of removal to the district court. And now the one for the property we're talking about now, this being moved because they're being biased with this invalid order. And I don't want to appeal it because I don't want to face the same thing they did with the biostatistics and have to go over to the Supreme Court. I'm just going to remove it to the district court for acting in bad faith or denying me due process of law. So that means it can be done de novo because the judge nor the court entertain any evidentiary fact or fact at law, which was ground for most of the summary judgment for our temple. So you didn't do anything but prolonged it, but we still gonna get it, and I'm gonna show you why. Our creator, our ancestors is good. I'm gonna show you why. Because on that particular day, something actually happened. I said on the September 23rd, the agnatic session broke with the birth of Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany. He was the son of Henry II and Eleanor Aquitaine. That broke the agnatic succession because all those heirs and successors followed the agnatic succession of the Counts of Anjou. I'm going to show you that in a second. I hope y'all paying attention. I'm good. 1 second. All right. Where was I at? Bennington Whitworth.
In point of interest, this is the reason, like our brother Esquire Burgess spoke earlier regarding understanding the body politic. This is what helps separates us to be able to give us the ability to stand on this, because like the king said, the state court, they're not going to listen to it. They're not going to entertain it. Why? Because we're separate body politic. You know, we're not part of their body politic. We're part of the king's body politic. So only one who can listen to the king's body politic at this point would be those who actually have a trust with us, i.e. who are claiming to be the so-called successors of the crown, the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Archbishop. And who did say dissolve the Church of England? United States. And that one case. So if the United States dissolve it, then we got to go through them to get it back. Exactly. All right. And how we go through them? Through this guy, Bennington Whitworth. Who was Bennington Whitworth? He was a merchant. It said, continue to read, Sister Allen.
Section 4?
Yeah.
Section 4 of the
No, I'm sorry, let me share. Sorry.
Okay. Bennington Whitworth, July 24, 1696, October 14, 1770. Was a merchant and colonial administrator who served as the governor of New Hampshire from 1741 to 1766. While serving as governor, Whitworth is best known for issuing several land grants in territory claimed by the province of New Hampshire. Lost my place that quick. Province of New Hampshire, west of the Connecticut River, which led to disputes with the neighboring colony of New York and the eventual creation of Vermont. Born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, into a prominent colonial family in 1692, Whitworth was initially groomed by his father, John, to take over the family business before misbehavior at Harvard College led him to be sent to Boston instead in 1715.
Stop right there. We're going to just jump and skip. All right, read right here, in 1730.
In the mid-1730s, most of Whitworth's family members converted to Anglicanism, joining the Church of England. Whitworth joined them in the early 1740s and supported the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel, a missionary arm of the church, by issuing them several land grants on the North American frontier. During this period, Whitworth ensured his dominance in the New Hampshire political scene by filing government positions with his relatives to ensure they dominated the profitable mass trade, a stronghold which lasted until the American Revolutionary War.
Okay, that's good. So he gave out land grants. These land grants he gave to him caused the Revolutionary War, y'all. These grants he gave out caused the Revolutionary War, because the grants he gave out was not supposed to be given out, because the grants that were given out was by Charles II to Duke of York on March 12, 1664. You see that in New Jersey by statute 46-3-1. It's right there in New Jersey by statute, March 12, 1664. Because New Jersey, New York was part of the same, there were all colonies under the monarch Charles II. So who was bidding in Whitworth to be giving out land grants when both of the colonies were subject to Charles II? Everybody follow. So let's look into these land grants that he's giving out. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead and read it.
Yes, I see it.
Go ahead, Sally.
New Hampshire grants, or Benning-Whitworth grants, were land grants made between 1749 and 1764 by the colonial governor of the province of New Hampshire, Benning-Whitworth. The land grants, totaling about 135, including 131 towns, were made on land claimed by New Hampshire west of the Connecticut River, territory that was also claimed by the province of New York. The resulting dispute led to the eventual establishment of the Vermont Republic, which later became the U.S. state of Vermont.
Okay, stop right there. So where it's important. Read right there. Read this right here. These are the grants that we all know about the Township of Paulette case. Now, this is what the case encompasses. Read this right here.
The grants were usually 6 miles square, the standard size of a U.S. survey township. Although the public land survey system is not used in Vermont and cost the grantee £20, the grants were then subdivided amongst the proprietors, and 6 of the lots were set aside. One for the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts, which is a missionary organization of the Church of England. 1 for the Church of England, 1 for the first clergyman to settle in the township, 1 for a school, and 2 for Whitworth himself. The permanent annual tax on each grant, called quiet rent, which was shilling, paid directly to the king or his representative.
Read this part.
New York. While Whitworth's land sales were underway, New York also issued land patents in the same area. However, in contrast to the New Hampshire grants, the New York patents were generally irregularly shaped and issued to wealthy landowners. The New Hampshire grants were town-sized and generally settled in middle-class farmers. Most of the New York boundaries were ignored in favor of the New Hampshire boundaries and designations once Vermont achieved statehood. And some of the New York patents are now referred to as paper towns because they exist only on paper. Wow.
Yeah.
Let me go a little further. Hold on.
Paper town.
All right, go right here. In 1770.
In 1770, the New York Supreme Court declared all of Whitworth's grants invalid. thereby asserting the province's de jure control over the region. This infuriated residents, including Ethan Allen and his Green Mountain Boys, who rose up to resist those efforts. While the resistance faded, so did New York's desire to assert its claim on the land around the upper continent. As a more pressing issue, revolution moved to center stage. Wow, it is juicy.
You see that? Revolution.
Yes.
When you go to revolution, you go right to the American Revolution. Right there. So because of what Bennington Whitworth was doing, it caused a revolution because the land was supposed to be for the Church of England. You can see he was not a part of the Church of England as we are because we fit the description. He don't fit the description. How do we know that? Because it did say he was part of the Church of England and he was a part of the propagation of the gospel. Didn't they say that?
They did.
Now let's go back to the Statutes. When we're talking about the Statutes, feasment means deed. We know a deed that they got is a presumptive deed. Why? Because it's based in ownership. You only doing is transferring ownership when you don't have the right to transfer ownership in the deed. Let me go back here. And let me tell you why the judge didn't do with it. Watch how I caught the defendants in a lie. This is nothing but pure genius.
Am I reading?
Not yet, hold on.
Okay.
We're gonna give Sister Middleton a chance now.
Okay.
Let me just find it. Okay. Sister Middleton. No, we didn't.
Not this one.
Not this part. Sister Middleton.
Yes.
Read. Start right here.
The very learned and useful opinion of Mr. Justice Gray, speaking for the Court United States versus 1 Kim Arp, establishes that at common law in England and the United States, the rule with respect to nationality was that of the jus soli, that birth within the limits of the jurisdiction of the Crown and of the United States as the successor of the Crown fixed nationality, and that there could be no change in this rule except by statute, that by the statute of 7 and 1708.
Okay, so that's what 1 Kim Arp said. But what did they say in this case of 1783? Hold on, let me find it. Read this. Yeah, read this part right here. Now, this was the case. This was Town of Paulette, Bennington Whitworth, the one who stole our land. Now, look what they said.
Yes, by the revolution, we have become completely severed from the Church of England as by law established. Individuals and societies may possess the same land, have the same mode of worship, and the same ordinances administered in the same manner, and submit to the same discipline as far as may be effected without the assistance of the civil arm. But this constitutes, in the view we are now taking of the subject, similarity, not identity. It furnishes no ground for legal derivation of civil or legal connection. In every political, civil, and legal view, and in all the civil and legal consequences, the dissolution of the Church of England, as by law established, was in the United States as total and complete on the Revolution, as that of the civil power of the British government.
Okay, so now it just said in the grants of Hamilton Grants, that one was for the propagation of the gospel, which was a part of the Church of England, then was one for the Church of England. Didn't it say that? It made the distinction between the propagation of the gospel, which was a part of the Church of England, then it said the Church of England. But we're reading here, the Church of England was dissolved. So what Church of England was dissolved? Because we still got those parts of the Church of England exists today, because this case is in 1815. This is an 1815 case, but the United States, as well as the British government, dissolved it by law. So what church did they dissolve by law? Let's continue to read.
The words for a glebe for the Church of England as by law established expressed clearly the intention of the grant. This for the support and extension of the national church, considered in its political connection. It is not a grant to the national church as a body. No such grant was ever made, or if made, would be valid. Every provision for its support is to some organ of the church, as to the bishop of such see, or the parson of such a parish and his successors. A parish church in the English law is the building consecrated and endowed. There must be a glebe, which may be the churchyard only. The parson has in the glebe no more than a freehold estate. He is considered in law as a sole corporation, and the freehold passes by succession. The case then stands thus. A tract of land in the town of Paulet was by the King of Great Britain before the Revolution granted for a glebe for the Church of England as by law established. That is, the freehold to vest to a particular use when that use should arise, the remainder or reversion in the crown. There is no securing in the Constitution of Vermont to any man or body of men of any rights or benefits which under the crown were intended for the Church of England as by law established. At the time of the Revolution, there had never been within the territory, now state of Vermont, a regular parson who could make any possible legal claim or pretense to the use of any of the glebe lands within the same, for want of proper persons or grantees.
Okay, so there you see it. Nobody can fit the description of the church unless you go back to the origin of the church. And it starts with the ancestral succession, which goes back to that surname Godfrey, because surnames are inheritance that deals with hereditaments. Have you followed? Now, when I went to court, as I said, on September 23rd, in 1158, Duke Godfrey I, Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany. Duke of Brittany is a sovereign title for a prince, a duke, or a king. But he was the son of Eleanor Aquitaine, a Roman Catholic. When Godfrey V, Count of Anjou, he was not a Roman Catholic, nor was he a Duke of Brittany. He was a Count of Anjou. And we're going to go into that real quick. I just want to clear something up real quick. So let's go ahead. Now I'm going to show you why I called him into a lie. All right, now read this, Sister Walker. Sister Middleton.
Defendant has changed, altered, and encumbered the covenant as to Grantors Act by altering the verbiage put there by the legislative interpretation. Both deeds submitted on the record, signed by Doran E. Wynn, Esquire, and defendant's attorney, Bruce E. Whitaker, Esquire, are promises by grantor. It states on the face of both deeds, the grantor promises that the grantor has done no act to encumber the property.
Stop. Now, what does property mean?
Interest.
Ownership.
Ownership.
Do it mean land?
No.
No.
At all. Did it say anything in its interpretation of their statute? Did it say the word land?
No.
Now you look on both deeds that are filed for the record, which I pointed out to that judge in regards to what they say our presumptive title is. Let's go back to it. Read that again. What is the presumptive title?
Presumptive title is a right over a property arising out of mere occupation or possession without any apparent right. A person having a presumptive right can hold property until the possession is obstructed. Actual possession with a claim of ownership in fee establishes a presumptive title as against everyone, but not against the person whose title is better.
And the one's title is better is the one whose title is allodium. And it says allodium in the statute. So under law and fact, the land is allodium. That's evidentary fact in law. The judge didn't even want to see that point. I start talking now, he starts shutting up. Read what else it says here.
A grantee who enters into actual and hostile possession of land under the color of a tax deed acquires a new presumptive title to every interest in the land. When she or he continues such possession for a period of 10 years and pays all taxes assessed and levied upon the single entire estate in the land, she or he acquires the title valid in law to such interest. The county's tax deed therefore gave it title or color of title to the whole estate in the land, including.
Okay, stop. So it said the county tax deed gave it color title, which means that the title is presumptive, right?
Right.
Which means it's a parent title, and it will continue to be a parent title until somebody comes and prove it that it's not superior. It's an inferior title. You just claim to have ownership by a transfer of title deed that you got from the county. The county they can't give out indefeasible titles because they don't even own the darn land. Hell, you paying taxes to them. They paying taxes to somebody else. U.S. states, according to the DEJURE, do not guarantee indefeasible titles. Okay, so if that's the case, let's catch these mugs in a lie. What was that? Right here, where we were just at. Read that again.
Defendant has changed, altered, and encumbered the covenant as to Grantors Act by altering the verbiage put there by the legislative interpretation. Both deeds submitted on the record, signed by Doran E. Wynn, Esquire, and the defendant's attorney, Bruce E. Whitaker, Esquire, are promises by grantor. It states on the face of both deeds, the grantor promises that the grantor has done no act to encumber the property. This promise is called a covenant as a grantor acts. This promise means that the grantor has not allowed anyone else to obtain any legal rights which affect the property, such as making a mortgage or allowing a judgment to be entered against the grantor.
Now listen to what they're saying. They're saying the defendants in the Esquire, because when you have a deed, it has to be do what they call a title search. And the title search is done by a title insurance company to make sure that there's no liens on the ownership, not the land, because they only own they only can show it being simple or mortgage. They didn't mention anything about it being simple because they already know it's being simple. They just said that they're not going to allow anybody else to mortgages because it would be a violation of the grantor. But it was only based off, according to how they're defining in the statute, property. Because they didn't say anything in that statute 46:4-6. It says to encumber the property. And we know property means ownership, right?
Right.
And ownership and property does not mean land. Now let's see what the actual statutes say according to the legislation. Look what it says. Now read what that says.
the New Jersey states actually says that a covenant by the grantor in a deed that he has done no act to encumber the said lands shall have the same effect as if he covenanted that he had not done or executed or knowingly suffered to be done or executed any act, deed, or thing whereby the lands and premises conveyed or intended so to be, or any part thereof, or will be changed, charged, altered, affected, defeated, or encumbered in title, estate, or otherwise.
Okay, well, if that's the case, where did you get this from? Where did they come from? Affect property. It don't say affect property, it say affect said lands. So you just encumber by way of changing the verbiage of the legislative statute which makes reference to the land given by the grantor. Y'all ain't no grantors. All y'all doing is transferring ownership or transferring property of the land that belongs to the grantor. Well, who is the grantor? The ones who owns the land of Lolia. And we know who, according to the town of Paulette, who owns the land of Lolia? The king. That's why he left the land in trust. Okay, everybody follow? Let's get to the nook and cranny. Man, y'all some good followers. So we know that anybody who's watching this video, I'm letting you know you need to go down to your county record and ask them, is this a color of title deed, color of tax deed?
Point of interest,
You can ask them that, because I'm pretty sure you got this form, GIT/REP3, a non-residency certificate of exemption. I'm pretty sure each one of y'all got that instrument. If you got that instrument, then it's color of title. If it's color of title, it's a presumptive title. It's a presumptive title, then you don't have a parent right to the land. Why? Because the land is a Lolio. When you're held in the land of Lolio, that's free and clear. How we know it's free and clear? Let's go through it. How much time are we working with?
About 45 minutes.
Okay, that's all I need. All right. So as we can see, province of New Jersey. The province of New Jersey is one of the middle colonies and colonial colonies.
You got to share it.
This is where we at. Everybody see that?
Yes.
The province of New Jersey, first of all, let's just see the middle colonies. To get the idea of who the middle colonies is. Because the New Hampshire colonies is the northern colonies. Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those are middle colonies. So that means that when the land grants were given by Bennington Whitworth, they were taking our land. Because all this belongs to, which was given by Charles II to Duke of York. One was under the colonies. And the colonies had to pay quiet rent. Let's go back here. Province of New Jersey was one of the middle colonies, colonial America. It became the United States of New Jersey in 1783. The province had originally been settled by Europeans as part of New Netherland. New Netherland became a royal colony in 1660 when Charles II came back to the restoration of the Stuarts with Charles II, because his father got executed. They were under what they call a rump parliament. It's called a rump parliament under Oliver Cromwell. That's not parliament. You had the crown of England, you had the crown of Scotland, and you had the crown of Ireland. Totally different crowns. And now you got the crown of the United Kingdom. That's not our crown. It said that Vermont was successor to the crown. It said in Martin versus Leslie Waddell, New Jersey was the crown. It said in New York was successor to the crown. All these were successors to the crown, but it wasn't fixed in nationality. It was only fixed in what we call letter packs, which is a type of divinization or naturalization because it was established by the House of Stuarts. Go back to Calvin's case. So it says that the province had originally been settled by Europeans as part of New Netherlands, but became under English rule after surrender of Fort Amsterdam in 1664. March 12, 1664, becoming a proprietary colony. The English renamed the province after the Bailiwick of Jersey and the English Channel. The Dutch Republic reasserted control for a brief period in 1673 and 1674. After that, it consisted of two political divisions, East Jersey and West Jersey. This is under the property of George Carteret and John Berkeley. Let's go to background. The property of Jersey was originally settled in 1610 as part of the colony of New Netherland. The surrender of Fort Amsterdam was in September 1664, gave control over the entire Mid-Atlantic region to the English as part of the Second Anglo-Dutch War. That's dealing with New Netherland. Just go back down a little further. You see here, the English justified the seizure by claiming that John Cabot, an Italian under the sponsorship of the English King Henry VII, he was the founder of the House of Tudors. All right. Later in 1664, Duke of York gave the part of his new possession between the Hudson River and Delaware River to Sir George Carteret. Bergen County, where the temple is in Bergen County. All Bergen County is a part of the territory that was subject to the charter or land grant given by Charles II to Duke of York, which was surrendered back to the crown in 1702, which makes it the crown colony under the crown. So it says, the territory was named after Bailiwick of Jersey. That's the flag y'all see flying behind us. Carteret ancestral home, which is a bunch of crap. That's not your home, buddy. Carnet ancestral, where am I? All right, home. The other section of New Jersey was sold to Lord Berkeley of Stratton, who was close friend of Duke. As a result, Carteret and Berkeley became two English law properties of New Jersey. Now, this is called evidentary fact and law. We didn't even get into the charges and all that. This is fact and law. The two properties of New Jersey attempted to attract more settlers to move to the province to grant sections of land to settlers, and by passing the concession agreement in 1665, documents that granted religious freedom to all inhabitants of New Jersey. Under the British government, there was no such religious freedom, as the Church of England was the state church. In return for the land, the settlers were supposed to pay annual fees known as choir rents. Everybody follow?
Follow.
So not just in all the colonies had to pay choir rent to the crown, and free and simple. But it was all surrendered back to the crown in 1702. But the colonies broke away because of the land grant given by who? Bennington Whitworth. And that was a result of the breaking away because of the taxation that was given by the British crown. Not the English crown, the British crown. Everybody follow?
Follow.
Clear.
Okay, so this is the reason why, when I go back to here, my arguments, the court dismissed it because he didn't want to entertain anything we were talking about. So as a result of that, I didn't want to go to appeal it because of the discrimination that was done and prior engagement with the appellate court. And I already got an issue on the Supreme Court with a petition for certification. So what I'm going to do is remove it to the district court for discrimination by virtue of the fact of violation of due process of law under the Magna Carta. Because guess what? Guess where due process of law came from, y'all? Anybody know?
Came from the Magna Carta.
It came from the Magna Carta. Don't believe me? Let's check it out.
Henry II.
Somebody around there. Let's go to history. Everybody see that?
Richard I.
John. And clause 39, it came from all of them. They were all brothers. So when you say John, you're saying Richard I. When you're saying Richard I, you're saying Henry II. They're all following the same timeline. They're all following the same patrilineal, inheritable, hereditament agnatic succession that only comes through males.
Mm-hmm.
Son of
Eleanor Aquitaine, and she broke the line. I'm about to prove it. So this is where our rights, due process law rights come from the Magna Carta. This is the reason why when I go here, notice of removal, Fifth Amendment violation, Magna Carta right clause 1 and section 39. Everybody see it? United District Court of New Jersey.
No, you got to share it.
Oh, 1 second. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I see it.
This is the reason why I didn't fill it. I'm removing it to the District Court of New Jersey. Notice of removal, Fifth Amendment violation under the Magna Carta rights, clause 1 and section 39 of the clause. Pursuant to Article 4 of our Certificate of Incorporation. Just read a little bit here. Brother Gray, could you read, Brother Gray? Oh, you working, you're reading. You're working. Let's read. Mr. Harris, good to see you.
Can you hear me? Greetings.
Greetings.
Greetings, Mr. Harris.
Are you able to read?
Yes.
Okay, read this for me.
Petition files this action in the United States Court for the District of New Jersey, captioned Clifford Jefferson's versus LP Homes, LLC, Quaker Mansion Estate, LLC. Plaintiff's civil rights have been violated by the trial court and defendants pursuant to Title 42 USC Code 1983, civil action for deprivation of rights protected under New Jersey Revised Statutes 5-3, which states the legislator find that because of discrimination, people suffer personal hardships and the state suffers a grievous harm. The personal hardships include economic loss, time loss, physical and emotional stress, and in some cases, severe emotional trauma, illness, homelessness, and other irreparable harm resulting from the strain of employment, controversies, relocation, search of moving difficulties, anxiety caused by lack of information, uncertainty, and resultant planning difficulty, career, education, family, and social disruption, and adjustment problems, which particularly impact on those protected by this act. The common law.
Don't we all suffer from that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, why? Because they're saying that we're not who we say we are. So this is the reason why I come here. Now that's the that is the notice of removal. That's the notice of removal, and I'll also have a certification. Let's read a little bit of that. Mandatory judicial notice, federal state rule 201, 301, 302. Presumption of constitutionality and fraud.
Yeah, share it.
1 second. Everybody see that? This is a certification that I'm attaching to the notice of removal of why I'm removing it. Read a little bit of this for them, Sister Harris.
King Clifford Jefferson, in his public and private capacity as corporation sole, hereby given notice that he is removing this action to the United States District Court of New Jersey pursuant to 28 U.S. Code 1441, 1443, and on the grounds as therefore stated as follows. The matter above that was brought before the Bergen County Superior Court, which involved a motion to compel for want of summary judgment filed by the plaintiff, as well as opposition to defendant's motion to dismiss plaintiff's complaint. Plaintiff was denied the right to have the matter removed to district court as a result of the trial court's bench trial proceedings and proposed other issue. Plaintiff has filed and appealed on the matter of as a result of chilling effect in a religious group and the members regarding our religious rights to life, liberty, property, which denied in the appellate court of New Jersey. Now on review, in the Supreme Court of New Jersey docket 087371 for one of petition for certification. There is a matter removed to District Court Docket 322. I don't have to read the numbers, right? As
No.
well, because of the same discriminatory action. I, Clifford Jefferson, as King Corporation sole of the Third Temple Church of England, was denied due process on a motion hearing by that trial court on September 23, 2022. Plaintiff explained to the trial court that it was 864 years from this day that the agnatic inheritance rights of hereditament was broken as a result of questions over that inheritance law would affect their descendants, heirs and successors bearing the surname Jefferson.
Yeah.
The Jefferson surname is a pragmatic name that comes from the personal names Joffrey and Godfrey. These names appear in Old English as Geoffrey, and in Old French, Geoffroy and Geoffrey. The surname Jefferson makes use of the patronymic suffix son, which had superseded all other such suffixes in popularity by the 14th century and was most common in the north of Britain.
Not
This
right
suffix,
there. Not right there. Let's go right here. This part right.
Can you highlight it for her?
You can see that, Sister Harris?
read that? Okay. The plaintiff invokes filed authoritative instrument of incorporation, which are filed.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Which are filed with the clerk of Middlesex County, Province of New Jersey, within the Kingdom of England. This court must consider Judge Hammond J. opinion when he stated that there comes a time in the career of particularity every judge when he must embrace a theory of law to which he does not personally subscribe. Jackman versus Bowden, Supreme Court of New Jersey, November 25th, 1964. Our paramount goal in interpreting a statute is to give effect to the legislative intent. Let's see. In doing so, we first look to the statutes, plain language ascribing to the word used their ordinary meaning and significance. This conception of equities inheriting original jurisdiction as part of its general jurisprudence over the persons and estates of infants has general acceptance. In its very inception have belonged to the defendant, King.
I gotta change that. Don't disregard that, because this was for another case that I did, but I forgot to change the party's name. But it should say plaintiff.
So plaintiff King Clifford Jefferson, as a part of his executive power or parens patriae to protect his subjects, Bowick versus Barber.
Okay, the Supreme... we can stop there. All right, so all it is a certification to the court in lieu of my notice of removal, informing the court that there's been biases done at the appellate level, as well as in the trial court level, as well as in the municipal level. So I'm letting you know that as a result of the chilling effect in regards to our society trying to get due process of law, it's the obligation that the district court has to hear in lieu of New Jersey by Statute 10 5-3 in regards to remedy provided by the common law, because there's only one common law, and that's the common law of England that was adopted by the local government as applied to their local law. Everybody understand?
Yes.
So the reason why this is so important, because I have to remove it, because he ignored the origin going back to the evidentary fact of why we're doing this. It's because the agnatic succession in regards to the real estate, which is the land, building, and fixtures, is allodial, because church property always remain property of the church. If the church becomes dormant, that means that it's exceeded, because there's no office, there's no body politic, there's no corporation. So as shown in Town of Paulette, versus Daniel Clark, as shown in Propagation of the Gospel in the Foreign, which was all actually affiliated with the same religious society. And none of them fit the description as designated in that case in lieu of the corporation soul. Why is this important? Because the corporation soul represents the king's two bodies. The king's two bodies represents the body of politics, and the body of politics is represented by the head. And the head is an office that is filled by incumbents, people to fill that position. That breaks us back down to the successorship of the Kingdom of England or the Church of England, because all those who were sitting in the successorship as the King of England did not have the right to inherit the estate as the description met in that case. Why was that so? That brings us back to the date, September 23rd. September the 23rd was the date of Godfrey. Remember that surname? It's all about that surname. Let's go look at the surname. Godfrey, Agnetic seniority. Agnetic succession. This is the topic.
You gotta share it.
Agnetic succession. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Agnetic seniority is a patrilineal principle of inheritance where the order of succession to the throne prefers the monarch's younger brother over the monarch's own son. A monarch child, the next generation, succeeds only after the male of the elder generation have all been exhausted. We follow the agnetic succession of the Counts of Anjou. They were now following the agnetic successions of the Counts of Anjou. They were following the successions of what we call of the Dukes of Brittany, because Brittany, Britany, is another name for Brittany. It's called Ducal of Brittany. Now I'm gonna show why. Let's get an example of agnetic succession from our perspective, of our body of politics, from our religious society. And it's mighty strange that the example that they gave was ours. They didn't give any other example to cooperate with agnetic seniority but our house. Let's find out why. Read, Sister Harris.
The county of Anjou followed, sorry, let me make this a little smaller. The county of Anjou followed inheritance by agnetic seniority when Henry II of England married Eleanor Aquitaine, creating the Angevin Empire. This resulted in some questions over what inheritance laws would affect their children, as Henry II's father was the Count of Anjou, and he inherited England and normally through his mother. Henry II
Start all over again. Read that. Start from the beginning again. Everybody listen very closely what's being said. We're talking about our birthright. Read it again, Sister Harris.
Okay. The county of Anjou followed inheritance by agnetic seniority when Henry II of England married Eleanor of Aquitaine, creating the Angevin Empire. This resulted in some questions over what inheritance laws would affect their children, as Henry II's father was the Count of Anjou, and he inherited England and Normandy through his mother. Henry II's eldest son, the young Henry, died before him, so the throne passed to his next oldest son, Richard I of England. Henry II's third son, Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany, died 3 years before his father, but his pregnant wife later gave birth to a son, Arthur of Brittany. When Richard was mortally wounded during a castle siege, on his deathbed, he named his brother John, Henry II, fourth and youngest son, as his heir. However, the inheritance was questioned by the young Arthur of Brittany. Then 12 years old, Arthur argued that as the son of John's older brother Godfrey, he was the rightful heir of Richard and Henry II, according to the laws of agnetic primogeniture, which were followed in England and Normandy. John countered that as the male John countered or encountered.
Counter means he objected.
Yeah, John countered that as the male line heirs of the Counts of Anjou, the Gregorian Empire followed the succession law of Anjou, which was based on agnatic seniority.
Stop
Thus,
right
John.
there. Stop right there. So that means there's a conflict now. Because Eleanor Aquitaine, who married Henry II, had a son called Godfrey, Duke of Brittany, who had a son called Arthur, Duke of Brittany. And he questioned that he had the right to the agnatic succession to the throne, but they didn't follow the successions of the Dukes of Brittany. They followed the succession of the Counts of Anjou. And Henry II was the son of Godfrey, where my surname comes from, because Godfrey means Jefferson. Son means to send down from. Godfrey Jeffrey. And why is this important? Now remember, Godfrey, Duke of Brittany, was born where? September 23rd, the day I went to court on, which was 2 days ago. The same day, I let the judge know this, that there was 864 years of missing history. Judge did not want to entertain this. I wouldn't want to entertain it either, knowing this. All right, so let's look at Godfrey, Duke of Brittany.
I have interest, King.
Go ahead.
Arthur was in line with the French king at that particular time, right? So there was a conflict of interest as to why they didn't want to pass the throne to him, other than the fact that he was also very young.
Not just that, he was Roman Catholic.
Okay, and he was Roman Catholic.
Eleanor Aquitaine was Roman Catholic.
Okay.
All these Roman Catholics are not supposed to be in our bloodline. All right, so Godfrey II, his mother was Eleanor, Duchess of Aquitaine.
Right.
Right, let's go here. What's her religion? A Catholic. You follow?
Yes.
Let's go back. So now Henry II was not a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
Henry II. Let's go to it. They don't even have a religious form.
Okay.
Father Godfrey, 5th Count of Anjou, Plantagen and Gibeon crown. So Godfrey, that's my last name.
Right.
They didn't have first names then, Ben. They went by last name to show what family you were a part of. So when at the act of succession, Godfrey V, father was Folk V.
Yeah.
You ever heard the term where your folks come from? That's where that term come from. Where your kin folks? I'm about to show you where your kin folks come from. Godfrey V, the Plantagen, was Count of Anjou. Let's see who his father was. Let me show you how this connects to our Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because I was wondering when you would speak of Eleanor jumping the line of succession, because I was thinking like, well, if Richard and John hadn't have been born, we wouldn't have had the Magna Carta. Is that?
We wouldn't have had the Magna Carta. They're all sons were Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Right.
All these, Richard I, Henry II, John, all of them were the sons of a Catholic mother. That caused the problem in agnatic succession. That's why John said, we're going to follow Godfrey, our father, our grandfather's line.
Oh, okay.
You follow?
Yeah.
Why? I'm going to show you why. Because his father was Folk, King of Jerusalem. Everybody see that? Okay. King of Jerusalem, let's follow the rabbit hole. Who was the predecessor to the King of Jerusalem? Baldwin II. right? We don't care about nothing else. We're talking about Jerusalem. Yeah. But we know predecessor to Count of Anjou was Fulk IV. The successor was Godfrey V. Why? Because Godfrey V became ruler of Anjou, while Fulk V went on to become ruler of Jerusalem. All right, so his predecessor was, we're reading about Fulk V, right there. Who was his predecessor? Baldwin II. Who was his predecessor? Baldwin I. Who was his predecessor? Godfrey of Bouillon. Who was his predecessor? Oh yeah, here we go. Father. So Baldwin, a ruler of Jerusalem, Godfrey of Bouillon. That gets into the Crusade. His father was Eustace II. Everybody see that?
Yes.
It's about to get interesting, y'all. I hope y'all ready for this. His father was Eustace II. We're following the patrilineal bloodline. Am I right?
Yes.
Follow.
Eustace
Yes,
II.
follow.
Eustace II. He married who? Two wives, Ida Lorraine and Gold of England. Who is Gold of England? Gold of England, or God Giftful, was the daughter of Ethelred the Unready. Who is Ethelred the Unready?
The son of
Jesus Christ. His father, King Edward. Everybody see that?
Follow.
That's a perfect trail.
Perfect line of succession. I see.
Perfect line of succession. Now, why is this important? It broke through Eleanor Aquitaine. Why? Because she was Roman Catholic. Now, I'm going to show you how we got into these wars.
Okay.
Before you had Great Britain, before you had the Dutch, you had New France and New Spain. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not even talking about Europe. We're talking about right here what they now call North America. You had New Spain and New France. All of them came through Eleanor of Aquitaine. How I know that? Let's read this. Continue to read, Sister Harris.
The Captain Plantagenet.
Occupation.
Capitan and Plantagenet.
Capitan Plantagenet rivalry was a series of conflicts and disputes that covered a period of 100 years, during which the House of Capitan, rulers of Kingdom of France, fought the House of Plantagenet, also known as the House of Anjou, rulers of the Kingdom of England.
Read that again. Please read that again.
Okay.
Because hold on, before you do that, we not only ruled France, it just said that they were the Kingdom of England. Because the name Jefferson is the name that comes from Norman in France. Godfrey's father was Fulk from Normandy to rule Jerusalem, and he went on to become ruler of Anjou in England. They were just warned with the descendants of Eleanor Aquitaine, which I'm about to prove to you. Continue to read.
The Capitan Plantagenet rivalry was a series of conflicts and disputes that covered a period of 100 years, during which the House of Capitan, rulers of Kingdom of France, fought the House of Plantagenet, also known as the House of Anjou, rulers of the Kingdom of England, to suppress the growing power of the Plantagenet-controlled Angevin Empire. Some historians refer to the series of events as the First 100 Years' War.
Stop. Now you had three wars. You had the first 100-year war, you had the second 100-year war, and you had the third 100-year war. There were three of them. We know this history. We talked about this already. It's in prior videos, you know, but we're just bringing it all full circle. Now let's bring this home. Let's get into the reason for the Capitan and Plantagenet War. Read that. Expansion and policy of Henry II.
In 1150, Henry II received the Duchy of Normandy from his father, Geoffrey V, Count of Anjou, and when he died in 1151, he became Count of Anjou and Maine. On May 18, 1152, he became Duke of Aquitaine in right of his wife by marrying Eleanor of Aquitaine in Poitiers after his first marriage with the King of France, Louis VII. The younger was annulled as at the Council of Beaugency. Several children were born of this marriage. On November 6, 1153, by the Treaty of Wallington Ford, the Treaty of Winchester, he was recognized as a successor of King Stephen of England, Stephen of Blois, before his accession to the throne. When the latter died on October 25, 1154, he ascended to the throne of England under the name of Henry II. On Sunday, December 19th, he was crowned at Westminster Abbey. Henry introduced some religious and legislative reforms. In 1155, he appointed Thomas Beckett Chancellor. In
Okay, that's fine.
1156,
That's fine. So now, Thomas, let's read this part right here.
Throughout the early 1160s, Henry II steadily increased his influence in the Duchy of Brittany until he forced Duke Conan IV to abdicate in favor of his daughter, Constance Dutch of Brittany, whom Henry promptly married to his own son, Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany, placing the duchy firmly within the Angevin sphere of control. Henry II would rule Brittany until the children came of age and thereafter indirectly via subordinates.
Stop right there. That's the conflict. Because we know agnatic succession broke with Duke of Brittany, Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany, through Eleanor of Aquitaine. Eleanor of Aquitaine was a Roman Catholic. She was married to Louis VII before she married Henry II of England. That causes the Capitan planted to Rome, which you get in the history of Thomas Becket. Let's read a little bit about him. And this will be in closing. Let's read the first paragraph about him.
Thomas Becket, also known as Saint Thomas of Canterbury, Thomas of London, and later Thomas of Becket, was an English nobleman who served as Lord Chancellor from 1155 to 1162, and this nobly as Archbishop of Canterbury from 1162 until his murder in 1170. He is visionated as a saint and martyr by the Catholic Church and Anglican communion. He engaged in conflict with Henry II, King of England, and over the rights and privileges of the church, and was murdered by followers of the king in Canterbury Cathedral. Soon after his death, he was coronated by Pope Alexander III.
Okay, so that's enough. So as we can see, as a result of the marriage between Henry II, King of England, and Eleanor of Aquitaine, it became a break in the succession of the bloodlines of the Counts of Anjou, which goes back to Godfrey of Bouillon, which married Eustace II, which goes back to Godfrey of Bouillon, whose father was Eustace II, who married Golda of England, who was the daughter of Ethelred the Unready, who was the son of King Edward the Peaceful, who was our Jesus Christ. So we know that the bloodline is connected. We know that it was broken on September 23rd, which was the day I had a court on. So why do I say that? It's because when you remember in the story about Jesus, when he said, "Father, Father, why are you forsaking me?" When something go his way. So when I lost the case, I was a little upset with myself, but I know I did a damn good job, excuse my French, based off what I presented to y'all. Evidentary fact, in fact, the law was there, but the court didn't want to listen to me, right? So I was upset about that, but not realizing what the ancestors was actually telling me I proved my point, and I'm gonna show you how I proved my point. Check this out. Everybody see that, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's your king. I put this work in for y'all. All right. Everybody see the date up here? Hold on. Let me just change the screen. Eight, 2022. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
8/8/2022. When the complaint is filed in a court of law, response, you got 35 days to respond to a complaint. Now, I had court on the date of September 23rd, which was the date Godfrey II, Duke of Brittany, son of Eleanor Aquitaine, an illegitimate son, because all the birthright was followed by Count of Anjou, which I claim to be a descendant of Godfrey V, Count of Anjou, which the court did not hear. So I was upset about that. But the reason why these judges are in that position is because of who? The governor, right? We've seen it in the town of Paulette. The governor allowed everybody else to take our land. We see it with the same way with New Jersey. The defendants was able to take our land with the assistance of the court because the governor appointed these people. So where did you go at? You go at the head. And now what's beautiful about this is that the complaint was filed August 8, 2022. Could somebody get out their calendar and go to August 8 and count, don't count the weekends, but count 35 days, not including the weekends, to the 23rd, and tell me how many days that is.
It's the 23rd of September,
September. How many days is that?
35.
35 days. Exactly 35 days. When you file a complaint, which was filed on the 8th, it was 35 days from that 8th, which was the day I went to court, which was last Friday, right? And I'm telling them about this history, which was done as a result of the governor. Now I'm home the other night, matter of fact, last night. And I'm thinking about, because I wanted to show y'all and tell you about what happened at the case. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to tell them I lost. And as I'm looking, something just told me to check and see how the case going on with the governor, because he's the one while we in this. And I happened to see the date, September 8, 2022. Then something said, well, how many days was that? Do I got the file for a motion for default entry? And the default entry happened to be on the same day I had the darn court date. So the defendants in the matter dealing with the property assume that they're getting off as if they're when they're not getting off. Why? Because I got this complaint filed against the governor, which default was supposed to be entered when you missed that 35-day deadline. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
You passed your deadline because you had 35 days to respond from the filing the date of this complaint, which was the 8th. 35 days without weekends is the 23rd, which is the day I had court. Now look at how I filed this. Let me just come out of this. And this is in closing. Our great ancestors be looking out for us. See right here, King of England, King Clifford Jefferson, State versus New Jersey. Named defendant served governor. This is the complaint. Violation of the English subject civil rights under English common law, pursuant to 10:5-3, which you just read, as well as section 64.1 of Title 22. If you scroll down, This is the whole complaint, beautifully put. I'm going to go to the exhibits, though. This is where I want to go to. That's argument. It's a long complaint. Okay, so now we have to closing up the complaint on the penalty and perjury. And now we're going to get to the evidentary proof. Attachment, certificate of incorporation. This is all. Now he gotta rebut this. This is our authority. Because 16.1 dash, I'm gonna go right to it. In our charter, first, and I ain't got no complaint. I ain't heard from them. Article 4 of our certificate of incorporation. Magna Carta. Everybody see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our authority to take our land is right here. He got to rebut the legislation. The law and fact, that's what he got to rebut. He can't rebut it. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we got the power. It's right here. 16.1-28. Saving rights under charters granted by Great Britain, being Section 12 of an act entitled an act to incorporate trustees of religious society approved April 9th, 1875. An act to incorporate trustees of religious society for property held in corporation place thereof. This section vests the property held under charters of incorporation granted by Great Britain and incorporation created in place thereof. So do our certificate of incorporation under 61-4, we got our power right here. Everything is legislatively, statutory sound. The governor cannot respond, and he had not responded yet. So therefore, when I filed for motion for default, what we want is return of all our estates from the governor. So what they did in that hearing the other day was nothing. It was nothing, because soon as the governor gives this back, because let me just go here in closing, so everybody can see it for themselves.
Point of interest, that's the beautiful part about the contract clause, because your articles of incorporation is a contract.
It's a contract,
and they cannot violate that contract clause or your right to contract. So, once we bring this, especially down to the federal courtroom, like the king said, not only do we have statutory law to back us up, we have treaty to back us up, but they themselves is not going to violate the contract clause of their own constitution.
It's right here in the New Jersey revised statute. Let me go ahead. In New Jersey first before I get there. This is on their website. State of New Jersey website, 1776 Constitution. Nullification clause. I didn't put it here. That the common law of England, as well as so much of the statute law, has been here to practice in this colony. They didn't say state, to remain in force until they should be altered by the future law of the legislator. Such parts only accepted as are repugnant to the rights and privileges contained in this charter, and that the estimable right to a trial by jury should remain confirmed as part of the law of this colony without repeal forever. So, brothers and sisters, yes, you have a right to a trial by jury. Right? Why? Because of issues concerning the common law. Why? Because under the nullification provision clause, it said provided always and in true intent in the meaning of this Congress, assembly, government, body policy, that if a reconciliation between Great Britain and these colonies should take place, and that the latter be taken again under protection of the government of the Crown of Great Britain, this charter should be null and void, other than to remain firm and inviolable. That means it's null and void. Why? Because of our charter, our certificate of incorporation. Where is it at again?
Which places us back into our body politic. We don't need them once now we back into our body politic.
Let me just go back to it. Where is it at? There we go. So now, how we know they got their screw, look at this. This is the proof. That's our other filing on the state and county level. Here's the state level, right here. Third temple successors, right there. This is on the state by the Department of Treasury. This is filed United States Department of Treasury, Division of Revenue and Enterprise Service. Now here's the proof. We're gonna get them. I got the concession agreement. That's up here. The resolves, all that shit. He gotta rebut all this. He can't rebut none of this. Constitution. He got to rebut this. Article 22. Right there. The common law of England. It's right there on your website. All I did was cut and paste. This really gonna get him though, y'all. See all y'all members? We, the signees, affirm that above stated fact as established by the doctrine of Statutes, as well as the legislation of this state, as set forth above, is the common law remedy that the plaintiff seek. All our signatures and names. Those who I didn't get, I apologize, but you are a part of it as well. Here's the evidence. Here's more evidence. This is from Chancery, y'all. Chancery Case Division, docket number, 3rd Temple English Church versus New Jersey. Plaintiffs, 3rd Temple English Church, party description, city, Perth Amboy State, New Jersey. Now look at this. Defendant, now we're just talking about the first defense is New Hampshire. They're a municipality. I didn't tell a clerk to put that there. She put it there. New Jersey. It says state of New Jersey. It says state of New Jersey, but why isn't that down here? You got mines down here, up down here, but yours is not here. You just got state of. Then every other state, Virginia, municipality, New York, municipality, Connecticut, municipality, all of them municipalities. It's ball game, y'all. And there you go, a big picture of him, smile. There you go. And with that, I digress. That's how we do it at the English Third Temple Church. We come with evidentary facts and law and fact. All right, so with that, I digress. I gave everybody a couple of words to tell me how you think the class went. This is what you need to know. This is information to get us out of this trouble. I'm staying at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gung-ho with this, but I need everybody else because if I had more of me, like me, we'd be unstoppable. So with that, I digress. Queen?
I was just about to say that I want to give honors to the King for this great work that he's trying to do for the church. Also, like he said, we got to keep at it as far as studying, being attentive, you know, coming to class, because he needs help, you know, he need a backing. What if something was to happen to him? Then who's going to carry it on? So we need people, the members, to step it up the game. You know, like I said, these high officials, you know, with their games that they're playing, we just got to hold them accountable for their actions. And with that, I digress.
What's that, Queen? What's that, Queen? She sees me here. Like when she see me get she cleared the floor. Mama and her go in the bedroom, dog in the cage. She got my coffee, you know, and it's very discouraging, but I have to press on. What affects me affects y'all, and what affects y'all affects the world. You know what I'm saying? So well said, Queen. Archbishop. So I'll thank you for that, Archbishop. Let Brother Burgess go.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, there you have it, family. Is what I'm getting from this lesson. King's showing us our father body politics. The roles is already there. It's just a matter if we're gonna step up, fulfill them, and do what's already written, how it's gonna go. I really don't have any much to say after that. I appreciate you, King. I'm gonna continue.
Got it, brother. Thank you. Brothers, let's get Countess Middleton. What do you think about the lesson?
Oh, it was a very good lesson. And King, you know, timing is everything. And given the Queen Elizabeth's transition and her son not being crowned yet, I don't think the court really wanted to be on record to say that there is legitimate cause for a change of succession. I think that's part of it. I think, you know, redirecting and strategizing in terms of making the next move, it's very timely. And you're right, this is a long, you know, it's a campaign that is moved in stages, but you were able to really clarify the status, and you really let them no room to run. They just decided to just drop it. So you're in a good position, King, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Middleton. Countess Harris.
Greetings. As always, I enjoy your class as you are bringing us back in alignment in the proper way of operating for as how to deal with these particular matters with being simple and allodial and how to deal with the courts. And I agree with Sister Middleton. I don't feel you lost. I just feel like you caught them off guard and they didn't know how to come back at you. So they ruled the way they did, which is really in your favor. It's going to work out when you go back. It's always working in our favor. So I don't feel you lost.
Yeah, and let me just make an interjection while you're speaking. Remember, when the courts reveal matters, they don't reveal the argument by the parties, they reveal the order given by the judge. And I clearly shown that the order was an invalid order because in his order, he never entertained the facts that law, nor the evidentiary facts supporting the claim of why motion to dismiss should have been granted. Therefore, that makes it an invalid order. So well said, Countess Harris.
Thank you.
Well said.
You're welcome. Countess Allen.
Greetings. This was a very I say meaningful lesson today. You know, we learned a lot. You know, you carefully, you know, sifted through a lot of the things that was objected to by the judge. But I also agree, you know, that this fight is not over by no means. This is something that's very new to them. They probably were not expecting it, you know, and we got your back, you know, no matter what. You know, all we're doing is, you know, staying the course, learning the lessons, and studying the laws that you have become so abreast to, you know. And I applaud the things that you are doing, the things that you have done. You know, it warms my heart every day to see that you are getting closer and closer to the finish line. And next time when you go back, you're going to hit them with contract law and they ain't going to be able to escape it, you know. So I appreciate you and I thank you and I love you.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Well received.
Lady Allen.
Yes. Brother Scott from the House of Scott.
Greetings, King.
Greetings, Noble.
Lesson was outstanding as usual. I get kind of nervous sometimes because we got some very, very large shoes to fill. And this knowledge is limited to us as newcomers coming in as trustees. I guess for those of us that have mortgages, this information is pertinent as well. And I feel like, King, I'm not really able to give 100% because I'm still stuck in these matrices. So this was definitely eye-opening. And myself and Brother Burgess are going after these the commissioners for Georgia, as well as Virginia. So the Queen stating that we need to hold these guys accountable. That's what's next for us in our complaints. And again, we're going against the whole country. So we expect this to be a lengthy fight as well. But with this information and knowledge, King, we'll be right behind you.
I know you is, brother.
Putting the pressure on them, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate both of you, as well as all of you, just being here to just be willing to just observe and receive what it is I have to give. Because by you receiving, it makes you stronger, and it makes me stronger that you want to be stronger. So I thank you. Brother Gray, greetings, Noble. Are you able to speak?
Greetings, King, Queen, Archbishop, and all of the King's bench. King, I want to thank you personally for showing us the case and breaking it down, how you put it together so great. Like one of the sisters said, there's nowhere for them to go. There's nowhere for them to go. And you didn't lose the case, as Sister Harris said, you didn't lose the case. They just don't want to reply to it. They don't have nothing to rebut it. So you're winning this case by forfeiture. They're forfeit. They're scared to even come back and talk to you.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm not going to stay long, but I just want to thank you so much, and your wife, and all the people on the panel, our family, for you fighting so hard for us and teaching us and trying to bring us up to your level, which I don't think we can ever be as high on the level as you are. But we're going to study, and we're going to continue to learn the laws so we can protect the rest of the people who come in after us. And
thank you, Lord.
Thank you so much, and thank your wife so much for sacrificing her time and her efforts to be there by your side to help you carry through this thing, because you can't do it alone. And with that, I digress.
Thank you.
Did
it make clear on regards to the agnatic succession and the break in it? Everybody got clarity on that?
Yes, sir. That was, I needed that. Yeah.
All right. Let's have Brother, I think that was the last one. Archbishop, you got the floor.
No, we have Archbishop Murphy.
Greetings, Noble.
Greetings, Brother Murphy from the House of Murphy.
Greetings, Noble.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Before my absence, I just started a new little work, and I've been working. It got me working every Sunday, and a lot of hours. So I apologize for my absence, but I've been doing my best to keep up. Thank you for the update on the case.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Acquiescence is acceptance, and we know what to do after one acquiesces to a formal decree and or letter. So, the battle may have been forfeited, but the war, oh man, you've sealed the deal. And it is a perfect succession of statutes, legislation, historical facts to qualify not only our body of politic, but our position in lieu of the case and the return of the trust property via our heirship as beneficiaries. So I'm honored. I love you all. Let the sound of my voice to those who are viewing. You have ears and eyes, so do what your spirit allows you to do, which is guide you back home to the Third Temple English Church, that which is the DEJURE body of politic created by our King Clifford Jefferson and our Queen Lisa Jordan Godwinson from the House of Godwinson. I'm at work now. I snuck away to get these words in. I was waiting for my opportunity to speak with you all, but trust and believe I am with you.
We know it, brother. Right. We know it. I got the email too, so thank you, Noble.
Thank you.
Indeed. Digress.
Right. Brother Harris,
Thank
greetings,
you.
brother.
And you got Brother Harris from the House of Harris.
Hey, greetings, Brother Harris. Okay, we're not able to hear him, so Archbishop, you got the floor.
Well, once again, brothers and sisters from the Kingdom of England, Empire of Albion, once again, our King Clifford Jefferson has done a marvelous job, you know, putting his life on the line for us. You know, this is not, like you said, this is not easy shoes to fill. But he came back, he reincarnated because he knew that this was his mission to do. You know, and with us as being heirs as well as loyal subjects to our king as well as our queen, you know, it's time for us to kind of start stepping out of our own comfort zone, you know, because once again, he's not comfortable in having to do what he has to do, but he's doing it for us. And if that's the case, then we need to start making ourselves uncomfortable and start doing what we need to do for the kingdom as well as for the church. Because no one, like we said, no one's coming out of the sky to come and save us.
Best believe that.
Like Edward, our Saint Edward the Confessor said via his deathbed, you know, it was going to be up to us to pull ourselves up from out of the mud through our own works. You know, no government is going to help us. No foreign power is going to help us because they can't help us. You know, we are the supreme law and de jure people on this planet. And at the end of the day, they're actually waiting for us to step into these holy roles. Because, you know, to be a trustee, going back to time immemorial, you know, this is not something to take lightly. You know, you came back and reincarnated for one of the most important tasks that a man have ever seen on this earthly plane. You know, and it's not easy to be able to articulate this all the time to, you know, those who aren't privy to what it is that we're bringing. You know, a lot of them are stuck into the matrix or the material world where they think it's all about now, 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 now. You know, I heard sisters, you know, say that our church wasn't real. It's not a real church. And all I could do is laugh at them because, see, they're so used to that feel-good juice that they're getting from out of the unaccountable Jesus story. You know, if that's what they want, you know, so be it. You know, your fate has been sealed. And, you know, it pains us, you know, when you try to bring the truth to our brothers and sisters, you know, who are hard-headed. Me and Lady Walker, you know, when we get the chance in the morning, we build, and she had brought some very, very phenomenal information within the last week regarding, you know, the state or the stasis that the people are in, and it's based off of how we use our language. You know, many of our brothers and sisters have no idea how to use the English language the way that it was actually meant. And most of the time they think they're speaking English, but they're not. You know, they're speaking something completely foreign to us. And that's the reason why when we speak to them, it doesn't resonate with them because they don't see themselves within us. And if you can't see yourself within us, then the language becomes foreign to you as well. Yes. So now that we're stepping up into our higher selves and our higher thinking, like the King is bringing to us, we're now being able to articulate ourselves accordingly to put ourselves in a proper state of mind, which puts you in the proper body politic that you deserve and you're supposed to be into. So now when we walk amongst our estate or the empire, you're going to see many people who speak like us, but they're not us. Why? Because they don't hold the King's conscience. When you don't hold the King's conscience, you can't use anything that the King have given to you or your descendants going back to time immemorial. So we're going to see brothers and sisters saying, I have the state from this, or I have a trust to that, and have no idea where all of that stuff goes back to, because, you know, what we're doing now is uncovering the dust and bringing clarity to those who've been thinking they have so-called allodial rights to the land, and you don't. There's only one allodial owner, and that's the King. Yes. And then like how Countess Middleton has said or stated earlier that, you know, the so-called de facto British monarch, you know, them having issues with, you know, crowning their so-called Charles III. Now, the reason I'm going to smile at this because those of you who watch our videos, clearly you see the image of King Charles, the so-called Charles II. He has locks. You know, these people are dark-skinned. They look just like us. Mm-hmm. You see these imposters, and clearly, you know, they don't look anything like us. But like the king always said, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because we know that even though these imposters who took over our estate, they did look like us. At a time, they were family, they were kin, but based off of their actions and their allegiance, determine who they are.
Who they are.
And that's what we're showing and trying to present to the brothers and sisters today, is based off, it's your actions, it's your deeds, what you're doing is determined, like I said, your allegiance and what you're upholding here on what we call the kingdom of heaven. Because this is heaven. Unfortunately, hell exists here too, until once again we bring more clarity to it, which we already have done in previous lessons, to explain that hell is actually the chamber, which is called the exchequer chamber.
Exchequer chamber.
For debtors. And the only one who can bring you out of debt is who? The king.
Patriarch.
The king, the paternus patriarch, or the paternus familiae, the head of the household. And our household in this case is the church.
It's the church.
You know, so as the king is doing his job, as our job as loyal subjects, loving loyal subjects. So we love our king, we love our queen, we love all our brothers and sisters here who have done their due diligence to make it part of their obligation and sacrificing, you know, a lot of the things that they have brought into their world to come home into the church to come and get these, you know, these gems, or we say, get your bread and water, so that way you be satiated as you continue to go and live out your life. Because now that you know that you're free once you come home, it's supposed to uplift you. This is the true meaning of ascension. You know, many brothers and sisters are expecting, like, once again, someone come out of a cloud and come and say, here you go, this is yours. All you got to do is repent and believe in me. But don't realize that that story is abstract, and they were trying to get you prepared for when the concrete king came and returned and said, hey, where y'all at? I'm back. I'm showing you, you know, agnatic seniority, going back to time immemorial. When I'm going to court, you know, court is one of the biggest places that many men and women fear to go to, but yet our king, he's doing it on his own. He's doing it on his own. So you can't tell me that he ain't who he say he is, because you had all of these other, I'm gonna call pastor pimps. You know, you're gonna have all these politicians, which we call agents of Rome. You're gonna have all these so-called other hustlers who are doing nothing more than filling our people up with, I'm gonna say, diabetic filth and fluff. And it's not actually feeding you. It's only giving you something to go the next day until they come and give you more diabetic filth. And the next thing you know, you don't have a body to exist in. You done turned your back on the true gods who are walking amongst you right now, because you don't trust them. You don't believe in them. And before I digress, I want to talk about one last point regarding, I don't know if anyone familiar, which actually everyone should be familiar of, not the Dred Scott case, but the Willie Lynch letter.
Yes.
And the Willie Lynch letter, this was done during the time, I think, was 1716. So, you know, this is all colonial time. And within that Willie Lynch letter, he gave them we're going to say, the slave owners, the instructions to how to pretty much keep the Anglo-Saxon Berbers in perpetual servitude or slavery, bondage. And the ones who they focused on the most was the mother, the woman.
That's right.
You go after her, you destroy everything. What they did was they made sure, based off of their instructions, to make our women become men and have the women teach the men to become women.
That's right.
We became passive, sensitive. We don't even know how it is to actually truly be a man without actually having a man come and teach us, because all of the men have been pushed out based off of the instructions of the Willie Lynch letter that our own people is keeping going, breaking up the family, things like that. But yet they think a theoretical Jesus is going to save them when you're literally destroying the essence that make you. You don't get the opportunity to go back from that. This is the last chance.
Yeah.
Like we said, our gods, I can talk to Esquire Burgess. I can see Countess Harris. I can talk to our king as well as our queen. We all exist. But the time going to come that you're going to have to be held accountable for the things that you believe, because the things that you believe in, what are they doing out here for real, concrete, living people? And with that being said, we love you, but we're not going to continue to keep coddling you and trying to get you to do right when everything historically have shown that our people have been hard-headed, always been hard-headed. It has never been a time that you have been always good. You have always been doing the wrong thing. And no longer can we, like say, hold your hands in doing so. So those of you who have, tired, weary of the life that you're living, and you're ready to accept the truth that the King of Peace have returned, you know where to find us. We're going to be doing the work. You're going to be hearing a lot more of us in the airways. Why? Because this is the only way that we can show you that we're real, that we exist, that we're not a fallacy. Rome turned us into spooks. We're not spooks.
We're not spooks.
Exist. We literally are telling you we angels. How many other people on the planet right now are saying that they're angels? Angels come back for a time and a reason and at the end of an age. And we're right now at the end of an age. And if you don't see it, that means that your time is up. So with that being said, we love you. I digress. And we see y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
Peace. Peace. Peace to you all.
All right.